Today, we're digging deep into Japan's economic landscape, uncovering the truths that most people ignore. Behind the lost 30 years narrative lies a complex capital game that is reshaping global industrial chains. If you only think Japan's economy is stagnant, you are missing the most crucial part of the story. Let me hit you with a counterintuitive question. First, how can an economy that is supposedly stagnant dominate 70% of the global market in key precision manufacturing fields? How can Japanese households hold net assets of over 2,000 trillion yen, even amid prolonged deflation? The Japan you think you know is just the tip of the iceberg. Today, we'll use investment banking due diligence logic to take apart these puzzles. And by the end, you'll understand the core logic of economic transition that applies to any mature market. First, let's tackle the first core point, the illusion of stagnation, the hidden champions behind the lost 30 years. Most people's impression comes from GDP growth data, averaging less than 1% annually since the 1990s. But here's the catch. GDP is a measure of overall economic scale, not the quality of economic operations. According to data from the Japan External Trade Organization, as of 2024, Japan has more than 3,000 hidden champion enterprises, companies that occupy the top 3 global market shares in niche fields, such as precision bearings, industrial robots, and high-purity electronic materials. Take NSK, a Japanese bearing manufacturer, for example. Its bearings are used in 60% of the world's high-speed rail and 40% of new energy vehicle motors. You might not have heard of the brand, but it is an irreplaceable link in the global industrial chain. These hidden champions have 3 common characteristics: high R&D investment, accounting for 5 to 8% of revenue, twice the global average for manufacturing, long-term stable customer relationships, and almost monopolistic technical barriers. So essentially, Japan's economic stagnation is a transformation from scale expansion to quality improvement. While the overall GDP growth rate has slowed down, the country has quietly seized the high-value, added links of the global industrial chain. This is like a person who stops growing taller but keeps strengthening their muscles and improving their skills. Their overall strength hasn't weakened. It has just shifted from obvious growth to hidden enhancement. Moving on to the second key point, the double-edged sword of negative interest rates, who benefits and who suffers. Next, let's talk about Japan's most controversial policy, negative interest rates, which have been in place for more than a decade. Many people think negative interest rates are just a way to stimulate the economy, but the actual impact is far more complex. According to data from the Bank of Japan, as of March 2024, the central bank's benchmark interest rate is minus 0.1%, and the balance of government bonds held is over 580 trillion yen, accounting for more than 100% of Japan's GDP. Let's translate this professional term into plain language. Negative interest rates mean that commercial banks have to pay interest to the central bank when they deposit excess funds, instead of earning interest. The goal is to force banks to lend money to enterprises and stimulate investment and consumption. But in reality, this policy has become a double-edged sword. On one hand, it has reduced the financing costs of large enterprises and government departments. Japanese large manufacturing companies can borrow money at an interest rate of less than 1%, which is equivalent to free money to support their global expansion and R&D. On the other hand, it has severely damaged the interests of ordinary households. Japanese households are accustomed to saving, and the interest rate on regular savings accounts is almost zero. For the elderly who rely on savings for their livelihood, this is equivalent to a hidden tax that erodes their wealth. As mentioned in the book, The End of Japan's Economic Miracle, the negative interest rate policy has widened the wealth gap in Japan. Large enterprises and asset owners benefit from asset appreciation, such as stock and real estate price rises, while ordinary people's income growth is sluggish. The core logic here is any monetary policy has distributional effects. Japan's negative interest rate policy is not a one-size-fits-all stimulus, but a transfer of interest from savers to investors and the government. This also explains why Japan's consumption has been sluggish. Despite negative interest rates, ordinary people's sense of wealth security has decreased, so they are more reluctant to spend. Now, the third focus, aging beyond demographics, the capital restructuring behind the gray wave. When it comes to Japan's economy, aging is an unavoidable topic. according to data from Japan's Ministry of Internal Affairs and Communications. As of 2024, the proportion of the population over 65 in Japan has reached 29.1%, the highest in the world. Most people only see the pressure on henshin and medical systems, but few notice the capital restructuring driven by aging. Let's take the pension system as an example. Japan's public pension assets are about 190 trillion yen, making it one of the largest institutional investors in the world. In the past, these funds mainly invested in low-risk assets, such as government bonds, but with the deepening of aging and the increase in pension payment pressure, the pension fund has gradually increased its investment in overseas stocks and bonds. According to the annual report of the Government Pension Investment Fund, as of 2023, the proportion of overseas equity investment in the fund's portfolio has reached 25%, an increase of 10 percentage points compared with 2010. This wave of aging has also promoted the development of Japan's silver economy industry. Companies like Sony and Panasonic have launched a series of smart elderly care products, such as wearable health monitors and home care robots. The market size of Japan's silver economy has exceeded 100 trillion yen, accounting for 18% of GDP. What is more interesting is that many traditional manufacturing companies have transformed into elderly care service providers by leveraging their technological advantages. This is equivalent to a chef switching to running a high-end restaurant. The core skills are transferable, but the business model is completely new. So essentially, aging is not just a demographic problem, but a driving force for economic restructuring. Japan is transforming the pressure of an aging population into new economic growth points through capital allocation adjustment and industrial transformation. This provides a reference for all countries facing aging challenges. The key is not to resist the demographic change, but to find the right way to match capital and industries with the new demographic structure. Let's move to the fourth truth. The truth about supply chain transfer is Japan deindustrializing. In recent years, there has been a lot of talk about Japanese enterprises transferring their production bases overseas, especially to Southeast Asia and India. Many people think this is a sign of Japan's deindustrialization, but let's look at the data. According to the survey report of the Japan Chamber of Commerce and Industry, as of 2023, 60% of Japanese manufacturing enterprises have overseas production bases, but 80% of these bases are engaged in assembly and processing, while the core R&D, key component production, and high-precision processing links are still retained in Japan. Take Toyota Motor as an example. Toyota has established production bases in Thailand, Indonesia, and other countries. But the R&D of hybrid vehicle technology and the production of key components, such as engines and batteries, are still concentrated in Aichi Prefecture, Japan. The reason for this layout is very clear. Overseas bases are used to reduce labor costs and avoid trade barriers, while the core links that determine competitiveness are kept at home to prevent technology leakage. This is like a restaurant opening chain stores around the world. Each store has a kitchen, but the secret recipe and core ingredients are still controlled by the headquarters. Another important point is that Japan's supply chain transfer is accompanied by industrial upgrading at home. While transferring low-value added links overseas, Japan's domestic manufacturing industry is shifting to high-tech fields, such as semiconductors, aerospace, and new energy. According to data from the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry, Japan's investment in the semiconductor industry has increased by 30% annually since 2020, and companies like TSMC and Samsung have set up joint ventures in Japan to produce advanced semiconductors. This shows that Japan's supply chain transfer is not abandoning manufacturing, but optimizing the global layout of the manufacturing industries to focus on higher value, added fields. The core logic here is, in the era of globalization, the competitiveness of an economy is not determined by the number of production bases at home, but by the ability to control the high-value added links of the global industrial chain. Japan's supply chain strategy is a proactive choice to maximize profits and maintain technological advantages, not a passive result of deindustrialization. Finally, the fifth core logic, the deep logic of yen volatility, a tool for global capital allocation. Let's talk about the yen, which has always been a focus of global financial markets. The yen's sharp fluctuations in recent years, depreciating from 110 yen per dollar to 150 yen per dollar in 2022, and then appreciating back to 140 yen per dollar in 2024, have confused many people. But behind this volatility is Japan's global capital allocation strategy. First, let's understand a key concept. The yen is a typical carry trade currency. Because Japan has because a large number of investors bought back yen to repay their loans. This wave of volatility not only affected the global financial market, but also had a profound impact on Japanese enterprises. Export-oriented enterprises benefited from the depreciation of the yen, which made their products more competitive in the international market, while import-oriented enterprises suffered from the increase in raw material costs. But what is more important is that the Japanese government and enterprises have used the volatility of the yen to adjust their global capital allocation. When the yen depreciates, Japanese enterprises increase their overseas investment and mergers and acquisitions because their yen-denominated funds can buy more foreign assets. According to the data of the Ministry of Finance, Japanese overseas M&S scale reached $200 billion in 2022, a record high which was exactly during the period of yen depreciation. When the yen appreciates, Japanese enterprises repatriate their overseas profits, which increases the domestic capital supply. This kind of operation is equivalent to a skilled investor buying low and selling high in the global market with the help of currency fluctuations. So essentially, the volatility of the yen is not an accidental result of market speculation, but a tool for Japan to adjust its global capital allocation. By guiding the direction of capital flows through monetary policy, Japan can maximize the returns of its global assets and maintain its influence in the global economic system. Now, let's wrap up with the conclusion. Pain plus reflection equals progress. Japan's experience for the world after sorting out these 5 core points. We can see that Japan's economy is not a story of stagnation or decline, but a story of transformation and adaptation. From the hidden champions in niche fields to the restructuring of the silver economy, from the global layout of the supply chain to the use of yen volatility for capital allocation, Japan has been exploring a path of economic development suitable for its own national conditions amid challenges. Pain plus reflection equals progress. And Japan's economic journey is a mirror for all economies navigating through transitions. It tells us that in the face of demographic changes, technological upgrades, and global market fluctuations, the key is not to pursue rapid growth blindly, but to focus on improving the quality of economic operations, controlling core competitiveness, and finding the right balance between stability and innovation. For ordinary people, understanding Japan's economic truth can also help us establish a more rational view of investment in life. Whether it is the long-termism of hidden champions or the adaptation strategy of the silver economy, there are inspirations worth learning. In a changing era, the most important thing is to accumulate core capabilities that cannot be easily replaced and adapt to changes with a proactive attitude. And now, let's hear your thoughts. Do you think Japan's economic transformation model can be copied by other countries? What do you think will be the biggest challenge for Japan's economy in the next 5 years? Leave your views in the comment area and let's discuss together. If you like this deep dive content, don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll continue to use investment banking logic to uncover more economic truths behind the headlines. See you in the next video.